Welcome to today's lesson. Today we are going to be doing a lesson on the three kinds of variables in research. Some of these you have already learnt in science from Year 8. I know this because I teach Year 8 science and I know that you learn them. So the three kinds of variables in research are the independent variable, the dependent variable, and one that you probably haven't heard of before is extraneous variables. Okay, so today's lesson is not going to be attached to a PowerPoint. So to get to the things that you need for today's lesson, you go into the Drive, into Intro to Psych, and it is called 3 Homework Booklet, so you'll be needing that. And there is also some questions that we'll visit that are attached to the lesson. The reason that they're attached to the lesson is because I have only done them recently and I've been too lazy to attach them, basically. Okay, so the independent variable. The independent variable in the research, you should already know. This should just be a recap. So the independent variable is the variable that we change. So if I'm doing research on chocolate and the effect on students' concentration after lunch, I would be giving half of my students chocolate before lunch, at lunchtime, half of my chocolate to students. I would be giving half and half of the other students maybe an apple or something else, or just give them nothing. And then I would be measuring their concentration levels after lunch. So the independent variable in that example would be the chocolate, because I'm changing it. I'm giving half students chocolate and half students no chocolate to then measure their concentration levels. The dependent variable is then the thing that we're measuring. So in the example, I've given half the students chocolate, half the students an apple. They've had lunchtime, and I'm measuring their concentration levels after lunch. So my dependent variable would be the concentration levels. That's the thing that I am measuring. Now, extraneous variables would be present throughout that entire experiment. So extraneous variables are things that could affect the independent variable that aren't the dependent variable. So these are all of the outside influences. So for example, the amount of sleep that the student had the night before. If you haven't had enough sleep, you're not going to concentrate in your after lunch thing. If you hadn't eaten that day, you're not going to be able to concentrate in your lesson after lunch. If you had been in the non-chocolate group but you had chocolate for recess, then you're going to get the same kind of effects. I haven't monitored how much sugary food that you've had. Maybe it's not just the chocolate, maybe it's the sugar in the chocolate. So the extraneous variables are the outside influences. Now, it's very important to note that we don't want extraneous variables. So we need to take certain measures to be able to avoid them. So in order to avoid the extraneous variables in my previous example, I could monitor how much sleep everyone has had, made sure that they got enough sleep beforehand, and only take participants that had. I could control what they eat during the day, so they can only eat what I tell them that they can eat, or something like that. I could go to the extreme and put them in a laboratory and control how much sleep they've had and control what they eat. So we take measures like that to be able to control those variables and say that it is definitely the chocolate that is affecting their concentration levels. It's nothing else. And I can relate that then to the real world, and I can say that my research is important. So in order to, not that one. In order to help you with this, I have got the homework booklet there for you. So in this booklet, you have got the definitions. So you should know what quantitative and qualitative is. We've done that in a lesson before. Identifying what the independent, so when I say IV, it's independent variable, and the DV is dependent variable. Identify what extraneous variables are, and then explain how you can control them. And then you've got heaps of these examples where you can point out which one is the independent and which one is the dependent variable. Now these are going to be hard to start with because they are statements. They're not obvious experiments like in the question examples are. So this is just a little bit to get you kind of thinking about it. So my advice in this is to have a look at the dependent variable first, see what you're measuring. So in number 1, severe punishment causes anxiety. We're measuring the anxiety levels. So our dependent variable is anxiety. Ooh. And then our independent variable is the thing that we're changing. And you could, hello Juno. And you could do a hypothetical scenario. Do you want to say hello? Hey! Oh, here's the puppies. Hello. Hello. A distraction. And you want to do a hypothetical scenario. So if I was measuring anxiety, they're going to start fighting now. If I was measuring anxiety, yes, I'll feed you in a minute, then I would have half a group that I would have severe punishment with, and I would have half a group where I would have no punishment with, and I would measure them after to be able to see if it's definitely the severe punishment that is causing the anxiety. And you could do similar things with the ones below. So watching violent television is likely to give children nightmares. So we're measuring the nightmares, and you would be changing the television show. So you'd have one group with violent television, one group that doesn't have violent television. So I'm not going to go through all of these with you because that would be me giving you the answers and not you doing it yourself. But if you weren't in class and you'd like to be able to do that and check with someone that was in the class, or come and show me and I can help you identify those. The third thing that you're going to be doing, and remember this is attached to the DayMap lesson, it's not attached in Juno. It's not attached in the Google Drive. So you're reading through the questions and you're identifying the independent variable in these. So remember, the independent variable is the thing that is changed. It is different into the two different groups. These are easier to read. They are examples of research that have happened. And then you're just formulating the conclusions about it. Again, come and check your answers with me or with someone else in the class if you would like to. The second one, again, you are identifying the independent variable, but it's also drawing on some of the information that we've learnt in the previous lesson. So have a go at those, see how you go, and hopefully variables will be your friend.